Hi, my name is Rachel Brewster. I'm a historical romance writer documenting my journey from writing to publication. And the video that you're seeing today is about the book cover market, because when you are an author, obviously, the number one thing that your readers are going to click on to learn more about your book and see if they want to buy your book is the book cover. It's your first impression in the marketplace. It's the emotional reaction of your reader thinking, oh my God, I want to read it. Like, oh, tell me more. Or at least the curiosity click, right? Like, I'm interested in that, but I want to read the blurb. And then, ooh, the blurb is good. Let me scroll down and see if it has any reviews. But of course, the very first impression is that click on your book cover, which is why your book cover is so important. What do readers look for in a book cover? Number one, that it appears professional. Number two, it communicates genre. Is this a sci-fi or a historical romance? And number three, that it is current in what's in the market, if that makes sense. If you 10 years ago, book covers looked very different than they look now. And you need to know what the market is interested in and attracting now in order for you to be competitive with all the other books in the market that all the other readers could click on, right? So that's the purpose of this video, is to look at a book cover market and identify what makes a good book cover that encourages your potential reader to click on it, learn more about you, and fingers crossed, buy your book. So the genre that we're going to be looking at today is historical romance, Regency romance. So that's going to be the late 1700s to early 1800s. That's the definition of the Regency era. I did recently realize that because historical romance is my background and what I write, I've done a lot of book cover videos about the Regency era, and I'm going to be moving on because I think I have a pretty strong foothold in what that book cover market is producing. So if you have a different genre that you would like me to look at and analyze, I would be more than happy to do so. So please make a comment in the comment section below if you have a genre you'd like me to look at. But for today, we are going to look at Regency romance. By the way, funny story about Rachel. Rachel did something really dumb in preparation for this video. I do dumb things all the time, not just in preparation for this video. And I was screenshotting book covers and I didn't realize, do you see over here on the left-hand side where it says romance and then under there, historical romance, and then the subgenres, right? And we're going to be focusing on Regency. As I was preparing for this video, I didn't realize that I was still on historical romance and not Regency romance. Let me show you what that does. Okay, so far so good. This looks like a Regency romance cover. That looks like a Regency romance cover. No problem. That's weird. That one looks a little bit off, but oh, there's Julia Quinn. No problem. So I'm still thinking I'm in the Regency section, right? I continue to scroll. Things look normal. No problem. What are these two? That's weird. And as I continue to go along, I kept finding things like this, King of Flesh and Bone. And I was like, how are these in, here's another one that makes no sense. I'm like, how are these in Regency romance? How am I going to make this video explaining to people what the book cover market is if it's so messy? Like Charmed Mischief, Fireheart. I was like, what is happening? There's a dragon in the background. And then I went, duh. These are all bucketed under this bigger heading of historical romance. And that includes medieval and American and Victorian and Scottish and whatever. So when you are looking at your book cover market and trying to analyze your market for how do I fit in here? How do I both fit in and stand out? Make sure that when you're analyzing your market, you have drilled down to the subgenre that you're aiming towards. Otherwise, you're going to get really confused like I did for 4 seconds. But going into, once I realized my mistake, I was like, okay, we should go into Regency romance. So now that we are here in the appropriate place, book covers that you want, the reason that I screenshot book covers and put them into a separate document is because it's really distracting to have all these other things on the page, like the price, whether it's unlimited or paid, what the title is, blah, blah. There's just a lot that's distracting you, and it's a lot easier if you have just the book covers, just the imagery all together on the same page. That said, you don't want to screenshot every single thing, every single book cover that's in the top 100, because some books make the top 100 because of their price. So this one is 99 cents, and I did not screenshot that one just as a really good rule of thumb. This book might be an absolutely amazing Regency romance story, but because it's priced at 99 cents, I don't know whether to trust its book cover, if that makes sense. If it's, why is it in the top 100? Is it because it's here because of price, or because people actually do like the book cover, the description, the reviews, the content? I have no way of knowing that. So as a rule of thumb, I just don't screenshot anything that's 99 cents because I don't know why it landed here. I also don't screenshot Julia Quinn just because of her Netflix deal. These covers are more aimed at a mainstream audience than they are a true Regency romance reader. And I want to know what my North Star is. So I don't screenshot Julia Quinn either when I'm trying to analyze the book market. So as we scroll and we look at these, what I did in preparation for this video is I just screenshot a bunch of these. Scarlett Scott, this Detective Duke, has been in the top 100 for a really long time. It is priced a little bit lower, and I think that's smart because it's book one of her Unexpected Lords series. So it's easy to get people into her series if it's priced a little bit lower, and then they can read through her backlist or through the rest of the series because they have that easy entry point. It's also an absolutely beautiful cover. I like it a lot. And she's very I don't know if popular is the right word. Successful is definitely the right word. Scarlett Scott, which I believe is a pseudonym, because really, did anyone get blessed with the name Scarlett Scott? Just born into the ether. Like, we're going to give you the best Regency romance name there's ever been, and you will become a Regency romance writer because of it. Probably not. I'm pretty sure that this is a pseudonym, but Scarlett Scott writes a lot of romance novels, as you can see over here, and I love her consistency with where she puts her name at the bottom and how Scott is always larger than Scarlett and layered on top of each other. I think this is a slightly older cover because you can see there is some difference in how she does her name, but it's pretty consistent across the board, and definitely consistent across her series, right? So if she does series A, Scarlett Scott is going to be exactly the same on each one of those books. And then if she does a different series, series B, theoretically, she could move where that is on the page as long as it's consistent with every single book in that series. And I would recommend that across series A and series B, how she does the name Scarlett Scott stays the same. And she's great. I mean, you'll see her. Oh, look, there she is again with the Playboy peer. Scandalous. Oh, book number 2 of her series. So this is what we're looking at for the Regency romance. And I screenshot all of these book covers and put them over here. And then I arrange them by color because I don't know, a freak and really curious and interested in colors. Blue, royal blue, right? This is a Regency and historical era, lords and ladies, nobility. That royal blue pops up a lot, and more than red, which has always been my assumption that red would be the popular color. And as of this month, which today is May 9th, 2022, purple is also a really popular color. So just from a zoomed out point of view, I would love for you to look at what are we seeing in terms of color palette, especially, you know, when I was showing you 5 seconds ago that medieval like dragon in the background and it was like dark and almost black and white. Very different genre than what we're looking at here with the Regency romance, right? So knowing the color palette is really important. And then additionally, I'm seeing a lot of single women, right? Women by themselves. Let me zoom in. So here's Scarlett Scott. Okay, this is perfect. What did we just say about Scarlett Scott and how she does her name across the bottom? It's consistent always, especially across a series. And here's Scarlett Scott down here. I think Scott is a little bit bigger. Who cares? It's almost exactly the same, and it's a different series. Clearly, the Detective Duke is not part of the Sutton's series, right? You've got Sutton's Scoundrel, Sutton's Skin, Sutton's Spinster, Sutton's Surrender, and Sutton's Seduction. That was a lot of alliteration all in one go. But why did I zoom in? Oh, to see all of the single women. You have a lot of couples, right? In this Scarlett Scott series, it's a lot of couples, but you have a lot of women just by themselves, often looking coyly over their shoulder, very feminine touch to the imagery across the board. Whenever you do see a guy, look, he's pretty fully clothed when he's by himself, or he's looking away from the lens, the perspective of the audience. Here's another male over here. And then we have the exception that proves the rule with Alyssa Clark's. This is a very rare cover that you're seeing a guy with his shirt off. Back in the 80s when Fabio was popular, this would be even more aggressive. He'd either be making out with some chick or like fiercely looking at the camera with his six-pack and his chest popping, you know? But that's not what the market is doing today in 2022 in general. As I zoom out again, it's a much more feminine and soft approach for the imagery. And like I said, a lot of blues, reds, purples, some yellows down here, and a little bit of green, and then I have white at the end. Also pay attention to your genre's topography. So for Regency romance, what we tend to have is, again, I'm going to go to Scarlett Scott. She knows her genre well. We've got this cursive, and then we've got, is that sans serif? I don't know. Let's call it a very practical and readable font. So we've got this mixture of this soft with staccato, and they're usually mixed together. Here's Bree Wolfe in her series. Once Upon and Kiss are in that practical font, and the words accidentally bewitching are in a cursive font. You don't need to have a mix. Kerrigan Byrne, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Courting Trouble and Tempting Fate, those are just cursive, but the name, the author's name, which is really important to be large and readable because we're super zoomed in here, right? A normal person, a normal reader on Amazon is going to be seeing it at this size, right? Much smaller. So your name as an author needs to be really clear. And so I like that Scarlett Scott, Kerrigan Byrne, and even Alyssa Clark there in the middle of those two has a very readable and practical font versus like having your author name be in cursive. But Kerrigan Byrne doesn't mix. She could have done what, like courting and then in cursive and trouble in regular practical font maybe. And yeah, so in general, I would say cursive and sans serif, practical, whatever, works really well for Regency romance. All right, what are our takeaways so far? Taking notice of color palette, how you do your author name, and where it's located. Notice that Scarlett Scott and Kerrigan Bryn both have their names at the bottom, but that's not 100% consistent across this genre. Sometimes it's at the top and over here with Kate Bateman, and sometimes Eloisa James put hers in the middle. But you will find, whatever your genre is, that sometimes other genres like sci-fi will be really consistent with having their name be at the bottom always. And you're going to want to know those intricacies of your genre, because you want to say to your reader, I know what I'm doing. I am professional. I know what you want. And I don't know, as a reader, as somebody who just loves historical romance, like I think that authors sometimes fall into the trap of like, oh, I want to be like different and cool. But as a reader who like loves historical romance, I don't necessarily want something different and out there. I want something that I love. I already know I love it. I just want more of what I love. So if you can communicate genre to me with imagery and color palette and topography and knowing your target market, like, I'm going to click on your book and buy your book because I love everything else in this genre. So if you can communicate to me that you are an author I can trust, I'm more likely to click on your book. Okay. I had more thoughts and more things prepared, as you can see from down here, but I am losing my voice. I don't know if you can tell. So instead of commenting on those others, I'm just going to throw two oddballs in here before we wrap up. So here's an oddball. It did crack the top 100. Notice how it's different from the other ones that are in the top 100. Now, I obviously don't know this author personally, and I don't know what they're running in the background, but if I had to guess, I think the reason that it cracked the top 100 is because they are running ads and really pushing it, because I don't think it's in the top 100 organically, and maybe that's unkind, but looking at this book cover, it's not competitive in the market. Why? Number one, it's black and white. The color palette doesn't fit. I don't mind the imagery of the man and the woman together. She's of the right era, but the color palette's off. Number two, I can't read that font. The font's right, but I have no idea what it says. And number three, tell me who wrote this book. From this distance, what is the name of that author? Scarlett Scott. I could see that if I was living on the moon. This, I can't, she has so much space down here to put her author name and make it bold and proud. He wrote this amazing book. But instead it's teeny tiny way up here. I can't read it. So in my opinion, this book is not competitive for its market. And I want you to know that, because I'm sure, I don't know, if you stumbled upon my channel, you're probably writing novels yourself and want people to click on them and read them. So you need to know what's right. And sometimes knowing what's right is also seeing what's wrong. So let's throw this one other oddball in here. It's green, so I'm putting it with the greens. I don't know what's happening here. This is, in my opinion, an example of an author who was like, I want to stand out and be different and unique, but may not be getting the return on investment that they were hoping for, right? It's jagged all the way around. Instead of like filling the full book cover, they kind of went with this, reminds me of like an old-timey oil canvas painting. So it's jagged all around the edge. He is wearing like a suit, or he looks like a noble English dude with his back to you in his silhouette. And the word sir also tells me that this is of the right era. However, it doesn't say romance to me at all. It doesn't even say sweet romance to me. If I hadn't been given those hints of his collar in this silhouette and the word sir, if you remove those two things, I would have said that this was like an American historical novel, like about Teddy Roosevelt or something, right? Like I'm half expecting around the corner of this hill for there to be a buffalo. If I zoom out and this is the expectation of the market and this is where this book lands, I'm not clicking on it. I'm really sorry, but it's not competitive to the market if this is a Regency or historical romance novel, because in my opinion, it doesn't communicate romance. It doesn't communicate the genre. So that's another misfit. Hopefully you find that helpful. I'm going to have to end this video now. I do these videos and talk about book covers once a month because I enjoy them, not because the book market changes once a month. And I'm going to start diving into different genres. And if you have a preference that you would like to see a genre analyzed, maybe your genre, so that you can get a second opinion and second eyes on that book cover market, please do let me know. I'm going to end the video before I lose my voice completely. And hopefully I will see you next time. Oh, check out the other videos on my channel, because if you like this video, I've done others as well. So anyway, hope to see you in the next video and I'll talk to you then. Okay, ciao for now.